Between the age when oceans swallowed kings and the rise of the sons of Arias, there was a forgotten era, forged in steel, baptized in blood, and buried in dust. Conan and the King's Daughter. The road to the kingdom of Karad was already stained with blood when Conan arrived. He had followed the road for 3 days through dry valleys and empty villages, seeing no merchant caravans, no farmers, and no travelers brave enough to move after sunset. The only people he encountered were soldiers, and soldiers did not usually look frightened. These did. At the gates of Karad, 6 guards lowered their spears when Conan approached. The Cimmerian stopped. His hand rested near the hilt of his sword. "I seek the king," he said. One of the guards looked at the giant barbarian, then at the sword on his back. "The king seeks you." That answer was enough to make Conan suspicious. He entered the city beneath a sky darkened by storm clouds. Karad had once been wealthy. Its walls were enormous, its towers covered in carved stone, and its streets wide enough for armies. But now the city looked abandoned. Doors were locked, windows were shuttered. Even the marketplace was silent. Conan had seen cities before. A city this quiet was either dead or waiting to die. The palace stood at the highest point of Karad. Conan was taken through several guarded halls before reaching the throne room. King Aram sat alone upon a stone throne. He was an old man with tired eyes. Beside him stood no army, no council, no servants, only an empty throne. Conan looked at it. Who sat there? The king's face hardened. "My daughter." Conan said nothing. "Princess Elira was taken 6 days ago." "By whom?" "That is what I want you to discover." The king rose slowly. 30 soldiers were sent after her. None returned. "Bandits?" "No." "An enemy army?" "No." Conan narrowed his eyes. "Then why did you send soldiers?" "Because I am a king," Aram replied bitterly. "Kings are expected to believe that soldiers can solve everything." Conan almost smiled. "Usually they cannot." The king stepped toward him. "My daughter was traveling to the western fortress of Daran when her caravan disappeared. Her guards were found dead. Their horses were still there. Their weapons were still there." "And your daughter?" "Gone." The king offered Conan a heavy purse. "Bring her back." Conan took it. "I will." He turned toward the door. "Barbarian." Conan stopped. The king's voice had changed. "There is something else." Conan looked back. "The men who disappeared with my daughter were not killed." "How do you know?" "Because 3 nights ago one of them came back." "And?" "He had no memory of where he had been." Conan stared at the king. "What did he say?" The king swallowed. "He said my daughter was alive." That was enough. Before sunset, Conan left Karad alone. The road to Daran crossed a forest that had once been a hunting ground for kings. Now it was silent. Conan rode beneath ancient trees while mist crawled between their roots. Near midnight, he found the remains of the princess's caravan. Broken wagons stood beside the road. 3 dead horses lay nearby, but there were no bodies. Conan dismounted. He examined the ground. Boot prints, many of them. Then nothing. The tracks simply stopped. Conan looked toward the forest. He had fought men, beasts, and sorcerers. But something about those footprints disturbed him. Not because they disappeared, because every footprint pointed toward the forest. None pointed away. He followed them. An hour later, Conan found a ruined watchtower hidden among the trees. Inside, he discovered a man chained to the wall. The soldier was alive. Barely. Conan cut the chains. "Where is the princess?" The soldier stared at him. "Daran." "Who took her?" The man began trembling. "They came at night." "Who?" "I don't know." "Men?" The soldier hesitated. "Yes." Then he whispered, "But they did not walk like men." Conan's expression hardened. What does that mean? They never looked at us. What? They kept their faces toward the castle. The soldier pointed toward the western hills. Take her and leave, he said. Do not stay in Daran after the bells begin. What bells? The man closed his eyes. The bells that have no towers. Then he died. Conan remained silent for a long moment. Finally, he took his sword and continued west. Daran appeared at dawn. The fortress was enormous, built into the side of a mountain. Its walls were black with age. No banners flew above them. No guards stood at the gates. Conan entered through an open passage. Inside, everything was untouched. Tables were covered with dust. Weapons hung upon walls. A feast remained prepared in a great hall, as if everyone had simply stood up and walked away. Then Conan heard something. A woman crying. He followed the sound. He found Princess Elyra inside a stone chamber. She was alive. She was chained to an iron pillar. Conan broke the chains. Can you walk? Yes. Then we leave. She grabbed his arm. No. Conan looked at her. You don't understand. I understand that you are afraid. The princess stared into the darkness beyond the chamber. This fortress is not empty. A bell rang. Once. The sound came from somewhere beneath them. Conan's hand went to his sword. A second bell rang. The walls trembled. Elyra whispered, They are coming. Conan pulled her behind him. Footsteps echoed through the corridor. Slow, heavy, human, but there were dozens of them. Men appeared in the doorway, soldiers, Karad's soldiers. Their faces were pale, their eyes were empty. They carried swords, but made no sound. Conan raised his blade. Stay behind me. The soldiers advanced. Conan struck the first man down. The others kept coming. He fought through the corridor, driving them backward, protecting Elyra as they moved toward the surface. But the deeper they went, the stranger the fortress became. The corridors changed. Doors appeared where there had been walls. Stairs descended into darkness. And beneath the fortress, Conan found something impossible, a vast underground chamber. Hundreds of men stood there, soldiers from Karad, men who had disappeared, men who had been declared dead. They stood silently around a circular stone altar, and upon the altar was the king's daughter, not the real Elyra. A second figure wearing her face. Conan stopped. The woman beside him screamed. The false Elyra smiled. I wondered how long it would take you. Conan raised his sword. What are you? The creature looked toward the princess. I am what your king fears. The chamber shook. The soldiers began moving toward Conan, but the creature did not attack. Instead, it spoke. Your king sent you here because he wanted his daughter returned. Conan stared at it. He did not tell you the truth. The real Elyra stepped forward. What truth? The creature smiled. Your father did not lose you. The princess froze. He gave you to us. Silence filled the chamber. Conan looked at Elyra. She shook her head. No, the creature continued. Your father promised that if we kept his kingdom safe, he would give us the blood of his own royal line. Conan understood. The strange disappearances, the soldiers, the silent city, the fear in the king's eyes. He had not hired Conan to rescue his daughter. He had hired Conan because he knew Conan would eventually discover the truth, and the king had hoped the barbarian would die before learning it. Conan looked at the creature, then at the soldiers, then at the princess. He smiled without humor. Kings, he said quietly. He raised his sword. They always think a man can be bought. And then Conan attacked. By sunrise, Daran was burning. Conan and Elyra rode away from the fortress while smoke climbed into the sky behind them. The princess said nothing for many miles. Finally, she asked, Why did you save me? Conan looked toward the road ahead. "Your father paid me." She almost laughed. "You know that isn't true." Conan remained silent. After a while he answered, "A king can buy a man's sword." He looked toward the mountains, but not what the man chooses to do with it. Behind them, the fortress disappeared beneath the rising sun. Conan had learned another lesson about kings. Power could command obedience. Gold could purchase loyalty. Fear could make men kneel. But none of those things could make a man free. Freedom belonged only to the man willing to walk away from the hand that fed him. And Conan, who had never belonged to any king, continued down the road.